Hello, professionals. My name is Rico Aladdin, and I'm the founder of Professional Lunch. Today, we have the CEO of United Way here in the studio for a very special professional lunch. Carla, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
You are much welcome. Please tell us a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Thank you. First, thank you for having me. So, Carla, obviously, that you mentioned, and I have lived in the Fargo Moorhead area. I've called it my home and my family's home since 2000. I grew up on a small dairy farm in west central Minnesota. So my dad milked cows morning and night, K through 12, all in one building, farming community. Really, when someone asked for help, my family showed up and we helped, whether it was picking up road ditches to participating at church functions, all the things, and graduated, went to M State for 2 years in Fergus, and then the University of Minnesota in Crookston. I have my undergrad in healthcare management.
Okay.
And so the first 20 years of my life, I spent in healthcare at Noridian Healthcare Solutions, which is a local healthcare company here in the Fargo Moorhead area. It's affiliated with Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Dakota and Healthy Dakota Mutual. And so a variety of roles in that regard. So at probably 7 to 8 years of my life, I was vice president of contract administration. So I was the voice and the face negotiating with the federal government, with the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to add additional contract work value to the government contracts that Noridian held to administer traditional fee-for-service Medicare. And then 4 years or so, I was the vice president of project management. So I oversaw a 10-state jurisdiction. I would consider it like an account manager role when people talk about project manager to account management, but was again the voice and the face of Noridian from the Dakotas to the state of Washington, down to Arizona, Montana, Utah, in front of hospital and medical associations and providers that bill to Medicare and visited with the Centers for Medicare as well. And so really just spent a lot of my time there. And then the last 2 years, I was the vice president of organizational strategy and innovation. The CEO at the time, before he retired, wanted to add a position as part of his senior leadership team. And so I had the opportunity to apply and went into that role in 2019 and spent 2 years. Really was a great opportunity to learn about strategy for an organization. He had a vision to create an innovation engine for all employees, all 1,800 employees at Noridian, to be able to provide ideas to enhance our organization, whether it was via culture or strategy, wanting to listen to each and every idea that team members had. And so that's in the 10,000-foot level about my career. Really quick, I jumped right in, but all in good ways, but really had a great opportunity. I grew up at Noridian, and it was a great organization for me to grow my leadership abilities. And then in 2021, the executive search was happening for the United Way of Cascade, and answered a phone call one afternoon, one summer day in 2021, and said, "Hey, would you be interested in talking to us a little bit further?" And I said, "You know what? Why not? It's scary."
Yeah.
I will wholeheartedly say, after 20 years with one organization, the people, the policies, the procedures, the goals. But I thought to myself, why not? Why not have a conversation? Why not, at any time, always have the conversation and the ability to learn more about the organization. It was a big change for me. So I became the president and CEO in September of 2021 and have now been there just coming up on 2 years this year, and really excited for the opportunity to meet new people, to be more community focused. Not that I wasn't before, but my book of business when I was at Noridian was very federally focused. So I was part of associations in Baltimore where the Centers for Medicare is headquartered versus being really ingrained here. And coming from that small town mentality, growing up on a dairy farm and those things, I thought, why not be a little bit more community focused? I have 2 small children that are elementary, and that was another benefit that, you know what, I can bring my 7 and 9-year-old with me to stuff backpacks for kids in need, and allowing them to have that purview and that ability to give back was really important to me as a parent, as a mom. But so really, a lot of people ask me, they're like, what's it like going from a business setting to a nonprofit? And I always share with people, I'm running the nonprofit United Way as a business. Our business is impact. Our business is connecting people and making investments in the community that we all call home. So it's so important to me to say that I want to be efficient. I want to have good team culture. I want to have the ability to talk about the outcomes that we make in the community and being the most efficient organization as possible. And so really a lot of the skills that I learned through all of my roles at Noridian Healthcare Solutions, I then am able to transfer those, whether it's influencing others to talk about the work that we're doing, showing the value that we are in the community, connecting people, investing, running a budget. All of those things are very transferable. So I would say if someone is like, gosh, what's it like to go from business or a for-profit business to nonprofit? It can happen. And there's so many skills that can go back and forth in a really good way. And so that's where I think about my skill set and my 10,000 foot journey through my leadership in a variety of roles has landed me with the United Way of Cascade.
Wow. You have such a long and wonderful
I know,
career.
right?
I don't
I'm
know where
old.
to start. No, no, no. So, the show is about giving less experienced professionals a window into successful ones, accomplished ones such as yourself. Tell me a little bit about how did you get started right after college?
Absolutely. I'm going to tell you, I was unemployed, living with my mom and dad for a few months. Like, what have I've graduated. You have all these grandiose ideas. Like, I've got this. Like, I am going to find a job.
Yeah.
I'm going to start my job like the day after. And then fast forward. And when I think about 1998, I went back to the farm and lived with my mom and dad for a couple of months until I found my first job out of college. In the Minneapolis market, and it was in healthcare and worked as a customer service representative, and then created another role and had the opportunity to do a different role within that same organization. And then thought, I'm going to look in the Fargo-Moorhead market just to get closer to family and friends and all of those pieces. And then I found my role at Noridian and I started my role there in 2000 and was there for 20 plus years. I think starting out, you always are thinking about that, maybe that large, grandiose like title or the company and all of those important, but I also would maybe recommend or talk about the fact that what do you want to do? Whenever I'm in an interview and they are like, hey, where do you see yourselves in 10 years? And many people would say, I want to be president, CEO. I want to be executive director. I want to be the head of this or that. I always like to just come back and say, I just want to help people. I want to learn as an individual. I want to grow and I want to help people. And all of the positions that I've had, I can always tie back to who I am, where are my values, what's my purpose. So just starting out, I would also encourage people to say yes to roles that you might not think like you're cut out for. Say yes to roles that you're like, I don't know if I can do this. I only know a little bit, but you'll learn so much on the job and you'll learn so much with the people that you surround yourselves with that on many of the roles and the opportunities I was given at Noridian, I was like, what am I doing? I know nothing, right? But I always was able to say yes and learn. And all the pieces that I have grown with, little pieces I still use today. And so that's just the really great thing in yes, it's scary, but saying yes to opportunities is okay.
Wow. So you started right after you were at Minneapolis, you had a job there. And then after that, a couple of years, you started at Noridian.
Yes.
We will circle back to United Way, but let's stay on that for a little bit. How did you, what strategies did you use in order for you to get promoted, to get to the point that you were before going into United Way?
I think raising your hand and showing engagement, raising your hand and if someone's looking for a place for a project to land, the ability to grow and say, oh, I think I can do this. That's, I feel like, what has catapulted me in promotional opportunities. I also think about being authentic and transparent to who I am. I always try to lead with kindness, and I always choose to enter my day with a smile versus entering my day being grumpy. There's many things. You don't know what people are living through or not, but I always try to meet people with a smile and with a can-do attitude, with an attitude of teamwork and collaboration. And I think as I think about my opportunities at my career at Noridian, I'll just focus on that because I spent 20 years there, but I had the ability to grow through a variety. Starting off with my first job at Noridian was a business analyst, and then I became a supervisor of about 20 individuals on a frontline supervisor, then talking to other leaders within the organization, sharing my thoughts and ideas and raising my hand to work on special projects when we were working on proposals, allowed me to become the manager in special projects. And then it was the ability to build relationships. And again, the ability to communicate with people. They had said, hey, we need this position filled to be in contract management to act and talk on behalf and build relationships on behalf of Noridian with the federal government. Karla, are you interested? Mm-hmm. Yes. Though it's scary. I'm like, what is this? I have no idea what this role is. And again, the CEO at the time for my next position, they're like, hey, we need someone to continue to build relationships within the states that we're serving. You know what? You can communicate, you build relationships, you're trusted. I have a high level of integrity and authenticity when in any relationship. As you know what, if I say I'm going to do something, I want to show up and do the best that I can in the choices that I make. Mm-hmm. And again, that position said, hey, are you interested in this position in account management, project management? And again, the next role was the CEO, like, hey, I have this new position. Like, we're interested in you taking this role. So in the span of 20 years at one organization, I wore a lot of different hats, but it was all with showing up who I am and showing my best self every day, building relationships, being able to say yes, even though scary, and that teamwork attitude and that positive attitude that really stems a lot is what I would consider how I was able to be promoted and or just move into different roles in one organization.
Wonderful. Did you have a mentor?
I think I had a lot of different mentors,
Okay.
but yeah, I would say I had mentors throughout the course of my career. I think of an individual that he was a mentor of mine. I reported to him for a time. I was peers with him for a time, but I think back at my mentor, Paul. He just retired actually a couple months ago from Noridian, and he was just a great ability for me to sort of gut check ideas, or gut check how I would approach a situation. And he would also, I would share this. My team would tell you I'm the most transparent person, but I had babies when I was 37 and 39, right? I was a vice president at Noridian before I decided to have children, or my husband and I had children together. And coming back, Paul was an amazing, because prior to having kids, I was like, yeah, if you need someone to stay until 8, 9 o'clock at night, I can do that. All of a sudden, my first meeting that ran to 5:15, and I'm like, I gotta go get kids. Like, this is a whole new world to me. How do you navigate this? It's so scary. And I'll never forget Paul. He was fantastic. And he's like, don't ever apologize for putting your children before us, because if we can't get a meeting done on time for you to go get your kids, that's not your problem. Don't feel guilty about that. Because there was a lot of, with that work-life balance, trying to figure out that parental guilt to knowing where I need to show up as a professional person in the workplace, and how do you navigate all of those new emotions that are happening. And Paul was just really good. And I share this with Paul on the fact that he just was fantastic in allowing me to release that guilt.
Wow.
And showing up though, and giving me free rein to be able to do what I needed to do to grow as an individual as well.
I mean, that tells me something about the culture. If you putting your family first, it doesn't bother them that you do that. So that's really good. So now let's go back to United Way, because I know we are looking at the time, and this is where you are at this stage in your career. Now, from your major job when you started out, did you ever envision that you would be the CEO of a company?
I would honestly say no. And it wasn't like, and I appreciate people that have structured goals and like a path that they see themselves doing that. And I probably am not that person. I wish I probably was. Help me find a mentor that I could help, like chart a path, Karla. But I would really, whatever role that I had the opportunity that I was blessed to be put into and or apply for and be president CEO, I would just try to do the best that I possibly can for the position that I'm in right now. And I feel when I show up and I'm the best Karla that I can be, other doors open. And so when you ask me that question, like, did you ever envision I'd be president? I didn't, right? I mean, and I always knew United Way of Cass Clay existed as part of workplace campaigns. As people know about United Way, I gave when I was an employee at Noridian, a team, and did volunteer work and all of those pieces. So I recognized it, but I don't necessarily thought that, oh, I'm going to be president and CEO of United Way. And from afar, it was I really appreciated how well run the organization was, the goals, how they showed up in the community and all the pieces. It was just understanding that. And then I'd also, as I was approached for this position, talking about maybe influencing others to leading a team. And my biggest joy as president and CEO of United Way is when people come up to me, they're like, wow, your team is awesome. That's probably the biggest compliment people can give me, is complimenting my teammates.
Wow.
Because that is what I want. I want all of them to thrive and grow as individuals. And so that means so much to me.
Mhm. So let's talk about United Way. So describe your service, United Way service to the community. Who do you serve?
Absolutely. So at United Way of Cass Clay, our mission is to inspire and activate the community to improve lives. And we do that through a series of our bold goals. So what I would say is our overarching goal is to lift families out of poverty. And we have 3 bold goals that focus in working with a variety of community partners, leaders, investors, donors, organizations in order to do that. Because no one partner, no one organization, no one person can solve some of the large challenges our community is facing. And so we really focus on preventing hunger and homelessness for the community, preparing our children to succeed, and strengthening families. And strengthening families through building social capital, or that social fabric that all families might not be blessed to have in our community, as well as working with career coaches to find sustainable living wage jobs for families that are looking to lift themselves out of family and be successful. Really, all families in our community want to be successful. They want their children to go to school ready to learn, ready to know that those children that we are helping to prepare are your workforce of tomorrow. And so those 3 bold goals, lifting those families out, is what we do through strategic investments, through strategic connections. What I appreciate about United Way of Cass Clay is we take that overarching look and we really connect so many different partners and align in the community to make a larger difference. So we know the dollars invested in United Way will do the largest, strongest, most strategic impact to help move our community forward.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. So as the CEO of the company, describe your typical day, if you have a typical
My
day.
typical day, well, you could be a professional lunch with Rico. I mean,
Yes.
hello. Typical days look differently. Obviously we're governed with the board. So I know I can have potentially a board meeting one day or a committee meeting one day. I have team meetings. I had a team stand up at 8:15 this morning and working through that. As you're looking at budgets, you're looking at team members. I have a team of 16 amazing individuals. So you're connecting with internal team and focusing on their development in a small team. That was really I shouldn't think of it as a surprise, but going from 1,800 to 16, I wear a hat of human resources. I wear a hat of finance. I wear a hat of facilities. I mean, we had a little leak in our ceiling tile, right? I bring in a fan in from home, stealing it from my husband's garage fan. And so there's lots of different hats you wear in a small organization. And it could be meeting with CEOs of organizations that help support United Way. It could be meeting with donors and investors of United Way just to share about the impact. I have our most recent annual report in front of me. I bring a copy to share with people just to talk about what we're able to do together as a community. So there could be a number of ways. Each day is different, which is great and wonderful, and really focus internally on our team at United Way, but also externally in being that advocate for United Way in the community in front of all different audiences.
Wow, this is wonderful. And quite a few times you mentioned your team. I have to
Yeah.
ask you, before we go take a break here, I got to ask you
Yes.
about what makes a successful team for you.
What makes a successful team is, our values at United Way is being authentic, being creative, caring, impactful, and magnetic. And what makes a team is when we can collaborate together, when we can understand the impact that we're having in the community. And we really have the most team that lifts each other up and shows gratitude in really positive, wonderful ways, and are always willing, like, hey, what can we do? What can we do to help you? And so that's what makes our amazing team at United Way.
Wow, wonderful. We're going to take a short break here. When we come back, we'll talk to Karla about some of the challenges that she faces in her line of work. We'll be right back. Tell me, what is your favorite part of your job, as a CEO?
I really think it's meeting people
Mhm.
and connecting with people and sharing the value that we have as a community. I really firmly believe when neighbors show up to help neighbors, we can do better. I mean, we can do so much more. So I love the role in meeting people, connecting people, and also, leading a team is amazing in so many ways to let them shine and to let them show up for the community and grow. When I could see that, those are probably the two most rewarding thing is all about people.
Mhm. Wow, nice, nice. So, what would you say is? I mean, you
Hmm.
talk about this is
Yeah,
United Way.
yeah.
Did you say that? Did you mean that for Norwegian also, or is it just?
Yes, I think it's people drive.
Okay.
Some people would say I'm probably more introverted, but also I really do appreciate the deep connections that I
Mhm.
can have talking one-on-one with individuals or in small group settings.
Mhm.
It's great to hear shared values and shared passion to help others.
Mhm. What does success mean to you as a CEO?
Oh, it's a good question. What does success look or mean to me? I think success um, can mean different things in different moments of your life.
Mhm.
And I think success really understands for us as a community to grow, to solve our challenges. Success looks like when we can create a vibrant, welcoming community that welcomes everyone and everyone have the opportunity to succeed.
Yes.
We have to try. Not
Mm.
everyone um, will succeed in recognizing that, but we have to try to help.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Congratulations again on raising $6 million
Yes,
for this
a-
year. And tell me a
absolutely.
little about this experience. You and your team must be really happy about this.
We are incredibly happy. So we set a goal last September for our workplace campaign to raise $6 million for the community, and we just announced last week or the week before at our community celebration that we were able to reach our goal. So that's incredibly inspiring, and the ability and not to lose sight of that $6 million, but what we were also able to accomplish last year is I don't know if people recognize that 1 in 7 children under the age of 5 in our community live in poverty. And
Wow.
when you live in poverty as a child, you're 3 times more likely to live in poverty as an adult. And so think about a family of 4 living on less than $28,000 a year. Think about maybe some of the decisions that a family needs to make in order to make ends meet, to pay bills, to afford childcare, to do all the things to be successful. And when you think about that and the $6 million that we were able to raise from that perspective on an annual basis, we help to invest in um, 35 to 40 different programs and community partners, from the YWCA to the YMCA to the food bank to many different organizations, and I won't name all 30 plus of them. But it's amazing because then we're all able to sort of work towards that buoy, towards those outcomes of can we prevent homelessness from happening? Can we secure jobs? Can we repackage meals so kids don't go hungry on weekends and meals? And when we think about if you go to United Way's website and look at our annual report, we were able to do amazing things last year on, 1,700 kids were able to receive mental health or tutoring through the investments of United Way. 580 plus individuals were able to find jobs to help their families be successful. Over 1,800 individuals were prevented from entering homelessness. And so those are the things when you think about the challenges in our community and the impact that we have together, and knowing that our dollars are going the deepest and the most strategic in order to help the largest number of people. That's what $6 million means to me, is the impact that we're having in our community.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. What other milestone that you reached in as being CEO of the United Way so far?
Milestones, huh?
Mhm.
I would say there's both internally and external milestones. Internally, when I think about our team, and leadership,
Mhm.
workforce is a challenge. And, we've had team members leave United Way for amazing opportunities with other organizations in the Fargo-Moorhead community, which is good. But I, as a leader, want to make sure that our culture is amazing. They're having development opportunities. They want to stay at United Way or grow with United Way. I know I can't keep, you can't keep everyone. People change, and that
Yes.
is a good thing.
Mhm.
But we've been really focusing on the year and a half that I've been CEO, just internally, on creating a culture of family first, creating a flexible environment, creating an opportunity for growth for individuals, and working through that. So I consider that a milestone for myself as a leader. And then I think about creating that strategy, creating that goal of $6 million, and sharing the impact that we have. We continue to have a strategy in place, because you know what, in 2026, we want to have a $7 million campaign. I'll say it out loud. My team probably is going to be like, can we not do that? But, we have we want to keep growing, because our community keeps growing. And
Yes.
so the need is there, and the need, and the fact that 1,000 individuals on any given night experience homelessness. So think about the weather that we just, I'm hoping spring is here, right?
Mhm.
Think about the weather that we just lived through the last 6 months, and thinking about living in a car, thinking about not knowing where you're going to lay your head, thinking about the child that's in my third grader's class that might not be prepared for his spelling test like my child is, because he got a good night's sleep and that child didn't know where he was going to sleep. So I think about those milestones. It's a continue forward of that growth. And we have an amazing board of trustees that really encourage that, like setting big goals and working towards them.
Well, what is, in your career so far,
Yeah.
what is the accomplishment that you are most proud of?
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
What am I most proud of in an accomplishment?
Yeah, it can be from both.
Both, anything.
Organization. Yeah.
Goodness. I'll say 2 accomplishments. One probably more facing, but I love after our celebration that we just had and our celebration last year. I love when I have CEOs of companies come to me and then comment on how amazing my team is, or how much more confident my team might look in certain situations, and just the ability to see their growth through the eyes of community members is fantastic for me. I tell my team, I'm like, just a proud mom moment, right? Because I'm like, that is awesome to see them recognized for their confidence, their growth, their ability to share their value with the community. And then for myself, I think some of the accomplishments that I've had is being in the positions at Noridian, whether it was Vice President of Contract Administration or Vice President of Project Management overseeing, but having the federal government come to my leaders talking about their love of working with me, because I really approach any challenge as, what can we do together? It's not adversarial necessarily, but it's like, how can we get to what we need to together?
Yeah.
And that's really important to me. And so it comes back to that whole, like, what I love is people, but really that my accomplishments really stem from building those relationships.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, how does your routine change from being to your previous positions to being CEO now?
I would say, a lot of different hats are worn as CEO, and remembering that, oh, wow, I'm HR now. Oh, wow, I'm, a little bit of finance, a little bit of facilities, and making those decisions. But I also My personality is one that I like to surround myself with different voices and being able to listen to them, because I don't want to have all the answers, and I don't want to direct, and listening first and using my thoughts a little bit differently, or my ideas waiting, and having my team come to me with their ideas and then maybe saying, tell me more, or that. And so I think about not being as vocal as maybe I once was to try to share ideas. And I'm naturally a little quieter anyways, but even more so in allowing my team to shine.
Okay. Do you have a hobby?
Do I have a hobby?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I have a 7 and a 9-year-old, so my hobby is being their chauffeurs, and running, picking up Legos after I step on them. No, I enjoy reading and biking and camping with my family when given the chance, when it's nice outside. I'm a fair weather camper, and so it's looking through that. And I'm a sports girl, so any type of sports is fun too to try.
Wonderful. We're gonna take another short break here, and we will be right back. All right. We are back. We are at the Bison Information Network studio at NDSU. My guest today is the CEO of United Way, Karla Isley. Yes,
Hello. Yes.
I get it.
Yes,
time.
you got it. All good. All good.
Oh, welcome back.
Well, thank you.
Yes. So now we are going to talk about the challenges. Tell me, what's the biggest challenge you face right now in your line of work?
I would say the biggest challenge that we face as a community continue to be, how can we show up for our neighbors and create that welcoming environment for all to thrive and be successful. I think about what we don't necessarily see as a community is, some of those numbers that we might have talked about, the 1,000 individuals that are homeless on any given night in the Fargo-Moorhead, and 20% of that 1,000 are children. So think about 200. Think about the size of an elementary school in the Fargo-Moorhead community, potentially being homeless on any given night. I think about preparing children to succeed. I think about mental health challenges, the ability to have a secure, strong adult in their lives, strengthening families, looking for those barriers that might restrict people from finding jobs, whether it's transportation challenges, language challenges, all of those. So I think about lifting those families out of poverty. The greatest challenge continue to be all of those things that at United Way we focus on, and trying to modernize. And I say modernize in the fact that sometimes people think of United Way as your boring old parents United Way, but we're really trying to be innovative and looking at difference, connecting with people, connecting with individuals of all ages. That there are ways to give back to your community, and depending on what season of life you're living in, it might be volunteering at one of our partners, it might be financially supporting, or it could just be advocating, connecting, and recognizing where you're at and how you can show up and create that power of community.
Wow, wonderful. You mentioned, I see you have a brochure with you. Can you tell me a little bit about what's in it and what's it about?
Absolutely. Each year, as a nonprofit, we create an annual report showing the ability of what we were able to do from an impact and outcome, share where the dollars are going, working with our partners. And so when you go to our website, unitedwaycastclay.org, you can see an electronic copy of our annual report if you're ever interested in learning a little bit more, how you can get involved, some of the programs that we offer. We do a Lead United organization where we bring speakers in, and it's a networking event for young professionals. We also have a 35 under 35 program, which is an application process that begins for 35 females. And it's a women's leadership group that they meet from January through June, graduate. And it's an amazing thing to see and hear when I'm in the community. people always will say, if there are 35 alumni, they're very proud of the fact that they've gone through the leadership program with us at United Way. And so that's all really in this annual report. And we have many different annual reports year after year to show the impact, the ability that some of the outcomes and statistics showing how we support our mission, how we support our community. It's really fantastic to see, and the fact that all the dollars raised stay local, helping the community that we all call home. And so really just take a shot. I would say go to our website. There's a link on there that says get involved. There's many different ways to get involved with United Way, and I'd love to hear more if those watching and wanting to know, please give us a call, shoot me an email. We'd love to get connected.
Okay. So what's next for United Way?
Next, what's unique about United Way is our workplace campaign sort of happens year over year. So when I talk about those dollars going forward in the future, I think tomorrow I already have a meeting prepping for our 2023 campaign, which starts in September of this year. Wow. So we just continue because we provide annual investments. And so that is what's next. We also have our Day of Action, where we're working with a number of community partners in securing volunteer opportunities in May that we will disperse people to clean up parks, to work at the Great Place Food Bank, and to come together as a community to help our partners. And so those are a couple of things. We have our golf scramble coming up in June. And so it's a continual year-round from that perspective. So there's a lot of fun and exciting stuff happening.
Well, I mean, United Way is very successful in the community. What do you think that makes the community so loyal to United Way?
I think it's all about showing up to who we are as a United Way. It's not just Karla, it's United Way as an organization and so many amazing team members to showing up how we can care for our community, how we can be creative, how can we be impactful. And I think it's the outcomes. Knowing, I don't think I gave enough credit. I liken it to like an iceberg. You sort of see what you see on top of the water and then everything else going on below the water. When I was giving to United Way before joining the organization, I didn't really think about it, but now that I understand the passion and the investment process, working with members, volunteers of the community that's invested in United Way to help identify the partners that we want to invest in, and that whole strategic process, there's so many things. When I liken it a little bit about my financial planner, like I trust that my financial planner is setting me up for success in retirement. I liken United Way in the fact that if we can take dollars invested in the community and make the biggest impact through very, very due diligence through our community impact process, I think that's why we're so successful in the fact that we can share what we're doing in the annual report as outcomes to the individuals, to the organizations that invest in us. That's where I think the impact comes from, along with the connections that we're able to have at all levels, whether it's a city leader to a CEO of an organization, to an investor, to a community partner, to someone that's for services. I think we show up in a way that helps show our impact and recognize that your investment with United Way is a good investment.
The show is played on campus here where students get to watch. So what would be your advice to young professionals who are in college right now, trying to enter the workplace, or someone who even wants to volunteer or work for United Way?
Absolutely. I think my words of wisdom or what have you, I would say is, find what your passion is. I say United Way is an amazing organization, but if your passion is animals, there are nonprofits in the community where you can get involved. When you look for organizations after leaving NDSU and graduating and wanting to be involved in your community, I would get involved. In what way? It depends on the individual and what are you passionate about. Whether you're passionate about United Way and helping, we'd love to see you in our Lead United group, or if the organization that you join after graduation runs a workplace campaign, get involved. But also get involved. There's so many amazing organizations here. What's important to you? And find that passion as an individual, and find an organization that has that culture to give back. Even at, I don't say even, but at United Way, we offer each of our team members 8 hours to volunteer. What does that volunteer look like? Those hours might be helping. I might use my volunteer time to help at a PTA function, but some might go and pack boxes at the food bank. There's so many different ways that you can volunteer. And I think in particular, when we think about hybrid workforce and working for organizations that might be located in different states and you're working all from home, or, in the work that we call the workplace today looks different than when I started 20 plus years ago. But I would also then encourage you to look at where you live and get involved. And that, like I said, that could be a number of different ways.
Yeah, United Way is doing the kind of work in the community that, I cherish that. I cherish what you do, especially for those who need it the most, right? So that in itself is kindness. When I say kindness, what does that mean to you?
I would say kindness is helping. Kindness is advocating. Kindness is making a choice. I asked my first and third grader, I asked them, did you make good choices today? And their little voices a few years ago turned and parroted that back as any good young child would do. They're like, did you make good choices today, Mom? And I can look in their eyes and say, I did make good choices because for the information that I have, I am leading with authenticity, transparency, and kindness. And kindness sometimes are helping individuals that need it the most. Those individuals might not look like me, might not look like you. It depends, but I'm wanting to create a welcoming environment. And that's what's being kind and showing your neighbors and giving them help if they need it, helping them.
Yeah, a helping hand. So, the show is about, bringing individuals who are, professionals who are out there doing great things, like you yourself, very accomplished, the CEO of a big organization, a worldwide organization, I must say. And so having you here today and students who will be watching, I hope they can take something that you say and work with it.
I hope so.
So any last word that you want to share with the professionals, the audience, professional lunch audience, or even a student or somebody?
You know what? I would just say those scary transition, change, raising your hand with something you don't know, take the chance, make the choice and raise your hand. And you can show up in so many different ways in the community to help and to advocate and to give back. And that's what makes NDSU, the greater Fargo-Moorhead community, Cass and Clay County, so wonderful is the ability and the gratitude and the ability to give back is so inspiring to me. Everyone I talk to all the time is like, the first question, what can we do to help? And I would say, raise your hand and then help.
Wow. So what would you tell that student who is afraid that they may not be as good enough, or they may not have the experience to go for something? What would you tell them?
I would say, you don't know unless you try. I would say that regardless of level, even Karla's CEO has a voice in her head. And how do you combat that voice in your head to say, no, like, why are you in the position that you're in? And the ability to go forward and make those connections, ask the questions, and show up. And every job that I've had that internal voice, like, I don't know what I'm doing. But you know what? You can learn and you can understand, find mentors, and surround yourself with people that will make you better.
Surround yourself with people that will make you better. I think I'm gonna keep this one myself. Any last word, Karla?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me. This is a great platform, and I love it, and I love to share. And please, I mean that. Reach out to United Way or myself if anything that we've talked about has sparked an interest to anyone watching. I would love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again so much for being here today. It's such a pleasure. We have a great conversation, and the thing that we talk about you today, I think most of them I'm gonna be using myself in my professional life, and hopefully that is the case for the professional lunch audience who is watching the show too. So thank you again. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. So now this is the part that I tell you, it's up to you to make today a great day. Have a great day.